Alright, for this data sufficiency question on the GMAT, there are a few things we need to focus on. So let's read the question. It says an international organization hired 100 workers from different continents. How many of the new workers are from Europe? So the thing right here is we need to pay attention to some key facts given to us. So we know that 100 workers from different continents, and we know we're looking for those, how many of those workers were from Europe. It says the ratio of the new members from Europe, Asia, and Africa. So this is statement one. So on the data sufficiency, we have to look at statement one and two. Now the key thing here is to make sure you focus on statement one alone, and then on two alone, and then you can kind of move on from there. Now on the GMAT, they are always going to give you this table of A through E, but actually one of the things that we teach in our prep classes here at Success Prep is we try to focus on using this table, this map here, call it the data sufficiency map, and it really simplifies. It's pretty much a visual representation of what you're looking at here. So I'm going to be using this map to go down the list. So this map here says is one alone sufficient? So let's look at statement one, telling us that the ratio of new members from Europe, Asia, and Africa is 3 to 1 to 1. Most people may think, well, I know the 3 represents Europe and I'm looking for Europe, so it must be sufficient. Actually, it is not sufficient, and this is the reason why. One alone is not sufficient because, well, there are other continents other than Europe, Asia, and Africa. There's North America, there's South America, and as a result, you have a situation. You have a situation where you're not really sure if there are other continents involved here. So as a result, you have a situation where statement one is not sufficient. So actually, if you look at the data sufficiency map here, I would say no. At that point is the path I'm on. Then let's come back to statement two, alone, which is what this statement is telling. It says, is two alone sufficient? So it says none of the members from locations other than Europe, Asia, and Africa were picked up by this company. So we can see here it says none of the other members were picked up. So as a result, you have a situation where in this second statement, you now know that it's only Europe, Asia, and Africa that were employed by this company. But at this point, looking at statement 2 alone, you have no information about what the ratios are for those continents. So the danger here is to, because you just read 1, to use that with 2, but you cannot because the map here tells us that you need to be looking at 2 alone. So is 2 alone sufficient by itself? That is a no. It's no. So at this point, so we're going to go ahead and say no there. So at this point, we now have um, a situation where we're forced to look at it together. So it says our statement one and two sufficient together. So actually they are, because you can use information one to say, hey, I know that the ratio is 3 to 1, and I know that Europe, Asia, and Africa are the only continents available. So as a result, we can actually do some math. You don't need to do the math here because this is a data sufficiency question. But I'm going to do the math anyway to prove that using statement 1 and 2 together works. So let's take a look at that. So if I look at Europe, Asia, and Africa, right? We know Europe is 3, Asia is 1, and Africa is 1. And we know there's a total of 100 workers and employees at this company. Now, anytime you're given a ratio in math and you know it's equal to a big number, you cannot just say 3 plus 1 is equal to 100. You actually have to go ahead and attach an x value to the ratios, which is exactly what we're doing here. If I attach x values there, I can then add it up. If you add this up, this is going to give you 5x equal to 100. Okay, and then you can obviously divide by 5, so x is 20. This 20 is what we call the multiplier in math, and this multiplier is what you then take. You just take this 20 and you just go right here, you plug it back as x, and so my Europe number will just be 3 times 20, and that's going to be 60. So we know there are actual 60 employees. Now again, on the GMAT, you don't really have to do this part. I'm doing this really more for the math benefit of understanding how to get through this. But really, by the time you look at statement 1 and you realize you only have ratios but you're not sure if there are other continents, and look at statement 2 and you see that there are only 3 continents involved, Europe, Asia, and Africa, you can then use both information together. So if we look at this path here, it's a no, but together It's a yes. So as a result, the answer here will be C. The answer here is C. Thank you.